Tay swept the floor of the dragon hangar as the morning sun peeked through the high windows. Dust particles danced in the light beams while the low rumbles of the great beasts echoed through the massive space. At 19, Tay was the youngest worker at the Gyeongju Dragon facility, and definitely the lowest in rank. "Hurry up with that section," called Hangar Master Do-hyun, a tall man with a permanent frown. "The inspection team arrives in 1 hour." "Yes, sir," Tay replied, gripping his broom tighter. He moved faster, stealing glances at the 12 massive creatures housed in reinforced stalls along both sides of the hangar. These weren't the dragons of old Earth myths, they were something far more amazing. Scientists had created them by mixing ancient reptile DNA with materials found in a crashed alien ship 30 years ago. The result was a new species that could survive in space and form mental bonds with human pilots. Earth needed these dragons. The war against the void-born aliens had been going badly until the dragons joined the fight 5 years ago. Now they were humanity's best hope. Tay paused his sweeping when he reached the stall of the largest dragon. This one was special, the emperor dragon named Bayek. Unlike the others with their bright scales in reds, greens, and golds, Bayek was deep blue, almost black, with tiny spots that looked like stars. When the dragon moved, these spots seemed to shift like real constellations. "What are you doing?" Hangar Master Do-hyun's voice cracked like a whip. "Get away from there!" Tay jumped back from the stall. "Sorry, sir. You were just nothing." Do-hyun cut him off. "How many times must I tell you? These are military weapons, not pets. One breath could burn you to ash. One swipe of a tail could break every bone in your body." "Yes, sir. I understand." "No, I don't think you do." Do-hyun stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Do you know why we hired you, Tay? Because you work hard and ask for little pay. That's it. You have no special skills. No education. No military training. Your job is to clean, carry things, and stay out of the way. The dragons are for the elite pilots who train for years, not for stable boys." Tay kept his eyes on the floor, hiding the hurt in them. "I understand, sir." "Good. Now finish this section and move to the supply room. It needs organizing." As Do-hyun walked away, Tay risked one more look at Bayek. To his surprise, the massive dragon was watching him. Its eyes, deep gold with vertical pupils, seemed to study him with unusual interest. Tay quickly looked away and returned to his sweeping. Later that day, Tay carried heavy bags of dragon food from the storage area to the feeding stations. Each dragon ate different food based on its design and role in combat. The smaller, faster dragons ate lightweight proteins. The heavy assault dragons needed dense, energy-rich meals. As he worked, the facility came alive with activity. Pilots in their blue uniforms walked through the hangar, checking their assigned dragons. Scientists in white coats took readings and samples. Mechanics tested the special saddles and gear that allowed humans to ride the dragons in space. Tay watched it all from the corners, trying to stay invisible as he'd been taught. "Hey you!"
"Stable boy!"
called a voice. Tay turned to see Pilot Junho, one of the younger dragon riders, waving him over. Tay hurried to him, head slightly bowed. "Yes, sir? Take these to the equipment room." Junho handed him a heavy bag of used gear. "And be careful with it. This stuff costs more than you'll make in 10 years. "Yes, sir," Tay said, accepting the bag. As he turned to go, he heard Junho speaking to another pilot. "Can you believe they let people like that even be in the same building as the dragons?" Junho laughed. "My dragon would eat him for breakfast." The other pilot chuckled. "Well, we need someone to clean up the dragon waste." Tay's cheeks burned, but he kept walking, pretending not to hear. This was nothing new. Most of the pilots treated the support staff like they were invisible, until they needed something. Night fell and the dragon facility grew quiet. Most workers had gone home or to their sleeping quarters. Only a few night guards remained, patrolling the outer areas. Tay should have left hours ago, but he had volunteered for extra cleaning duty. The truth was, he loved being in the hangar when it was peaceful like this. Without people around, he could look at the dragons as much as he wanted. He finished mopping the main walkway and put his cleaning supplies away. The hangar was dark now, with only emergency lights casting a soft blue glow. The dragons were mostly sleeping, their massive forms rising and falling with deep breaths. All except one. Beck, the emperor dragon, was awake. His eyes glowed faintly in the darkness of his stall, fixed on Tay. Tay knew he should leave. The rules were clear. No unauthorized personnel near the dragons without supervision. But something about those eyes held him in place. Slowly, carefully, he approached Beck's stall. "Hello," he whispered, stopping at the safety line painted on the floor, 3 meters from the barrier. "You should be sleeping." The dragon tilted its massive head, studying him. Then, to Tay's shock, it moved forward until it reached the transparent barrier that separated them. The barrier was made of a special material stronger than steel but clear as glass. It could withstand dragon fire and was connected to alarm systems. Tay held his breath. He had never been this close to Beck before. Up close, the dragon was even more beautiful. Its scales weren't simply blue, they contained depths of color that seemed impossible, shifting from navy to purple to black. "You're amazing," Tay whispered. Beck made a low rumbling sound, almost like a purr. Then the dragon did something that made Tay's heart stop. It pressed its snout against the barrier directly in front of him. Without thinking, Tay stepped over the safety line. He knew he could be fired for this, or worse, but he couldn't help himself. He raised his hand and placed it against the barrier, directly opposite Beck's snout. A strange warmth spread up his arm. The sensation wasn't coming through the barrier. It was in his mind. For a brief moment, Tay saw flashes of stars, felt the sensation of flying through space, tasted the freedom of soaring between planets. He gasped and stumbled backward, breaking the connection. Had he imagined it? Was he so tired that he was hallucinating? Beck made that rumbling sound again, louder this time. The dragon's eyes seemed to glow brighter. I have to go," Tay whispered, suddenly afraid. He turned and hurried toward the exit, his heart pounding. Behind him, Beck watched until he disappeared from sight. The next morning, Tay arrived early for his shift, yawning from lack of sleep. He had dreamed of flying all night, soaring through space on dragon wings. As he entered the hangar, he immediately sensed something was wrong. People were rushing around, voices were raised, and Hangar Master Do-Yun was shouting orders. "What's happening?" Tay asked a fellow cleaner named Min. "It's the Emperor Dragon," Min replied, eyes wide. "Beck is refusing his pilot. Won't form the neural link. They've been trying all night." Tay looked toward Beck's stall. A crowd had gathered there, pilots, scientists, and military officers. In the center stood Commander Hyuk, Beck's pilot for the past 5 years. The man looked frustrated and embarrassed. "This has never happened before," someone was saying. "The Emperor Dragon has always been the most stable of the fleet." "Well, something's wrong now," replied General Sunwoo, the highest-ranking officer at the facility. "And we need to fix it fast. The Voidborn have been spotted near the outer colonies. We need every dragon ready for battle, especially the Emperor class." Tay tried to focus on his work, but he couldn't help watching the commotion. Throughout the day, different experts tried to solve the problem. They ran tests on Bayek, checked his food for contamination, and had Commander Hyuk attempt the neural link multiple times. Nothing worked. By evening, the situation had grown desperate. Buck had become agitated, roaring and thrashing in his stall. The other dragons were growing restless in response. "If we can't calm him down, we'll have to sedate him," Dr. Jiwoo, the head scientist, said. "But that would make him useless for battle." Tay finished his shift and prepared to leave, but as he passed near Bayek's stall, the dragon suddenly went silent. Tay froze as the massive creature turned its head toward him, eyes locking onto his. Everyone noticed the sudden change. All eyes turned to follow Bayek's gaze, directly to Tay. "You," General Sunwoo said, pointing at him. "Stable boy, come here." Tay's legs felt heavy as he walked toward General Sunwoo. Everyone was watching him, the pilots, the scientists, the military officers. He had never been the center of attention before, and it made his heart race. "What's your name, boy?" General Sunwoo asked. He was a tall man with short gray hair and a face marked by old battle scars. "Tay, sir," he answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Tay what?" "Just Tay, sir. I'm from the Eastern Orphanage." The general's eyes narrowed slightly. "How long have you worked here?" "Almost 2 years, sir." "And your duties?" "Cleaning, mostly. Carrying supplies. Whatever Hangar Master Do-Yun needs done." As they spoke, Baek remained unusually calm, his golden eyes fixed on Tay. The dragon's behavior was so strange that even people who had ignored Tay for years were now staring at him with curiosity. Commander Hyuk stepped forward, his face tight with anger. "What did you do to my dragon?" he demanded. "Nothing, sir," Tay said quickly. "I just clean near his stall sometimes." "He's lying," Hyuk said to the general. "He must have done something. Beck has been my partner for 5 years. This behavior isn't normal. Dr. Jiwoo, the head scientist, raised her hand to silence Hyuk. She was a small woman with intelligent eyes and gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Let's be scientific about this," she said. She turned to Tae. "Young man, have you ever interacted with the Emperor Dragon?" Tae hesitated. If he told the truth, he could lose his job for breaking the rules. If he lied, they might never solve the problem with Baek. I talked to him once, Tae admitted. Last night, when everyone was gone. I didn't touch him or anything. The barrier was between us. Hangar Master Do-hyun's face turned red. "You did what?" "After all my warnings?" "I'm sorry, sir. What happened when you talked to him?" Dr. Jiwoo interrupted, her voice calm but intense. Tae swallowed hard. "He came to the barrier. I put my hand up against it and—" He paused, unsure how to explain the strange feeling. "And what?" the general pressed. It felt warm, and I saw things in my head. Stars, space, like I was flying. A murmur ran through the crowd. Dr. Jiwoo and General Sunwoo exchanged meaningful looks. "That sounds like a neural connection," Dr. Jiwoo said quietly. "Impossible," Commander Hyuk scoffed. "It takes years of training to form a neural link with a dragon. This boy is a janitor." "Nevertheless," Dr. Jiwoo said, "we should test him." She turned to Tae. "Would you be willing to try something for us?" Tae nodded, though he wasn't sure what he was agreeing to. Dr. Jiwoo led him closer to Beck's stall, stopping just before the safety line. She took a small device from her pocket, a neural scanner used to measure the brain patterns of potential dragon pilots. "This won't hurt," she assured him, placing the device against his temple. "Just stand still." The scanner hummed softly. Baek watched with interest, his massive head following Tae's every movement. After a minute, Dr. Jiwoo removed the scanner and looked at its display. Her eyes widened. "This can't be right," she muttered, tapping the device. "Let me try again." She repeated the scan, then checked the results once more. This time, she looked up at General Sunwoo with an expression of disbelief. "His neural pattern is a 98% match with Baek's frequency," she said. "I've never seen a match above 85% before. Even Commander Hyuk's was only 79%. What does that mean?" Tae asked, confused. General Sunwoo studied him with new interest. "It means, boy, that you might be naturally compatible with the Emperor Dragon. More compatible than any trained pilot we've ever tested." Commander Hyuk stepped forward, his face flushed with anger. "This is absurd. He's untrained, uneducated. He knows nothing about combat or flight operations." "Those things can be taught," Dr. Jiwoo replied calmly. "Neural compatibility cannot." The general paced back and forth, deep in thought. Finally, he stopped and faced the group. "The Voidborn fleet will reach our outer colonies in 5 days," he said. "We need every dragon in the air, especially the Emperor class. If Baek has chosen this boy, then we must at least explore the possibility." He turned to Tae. "I'm offering you a chance, son. A chance to be more than a stable boy. But I warn you, dragon pilot training is the hardest thing you will ever do. Many don't survive it. Are you willing to try?" Tae looked at Baek, whose golden eyes seemed to hold a question. Then he looked around at the faces watching him, some doubtful, some curious, some openly hostile. All his life, people had told Tae what he couldn't do. He couldn't have a family. He couldn't get an education. He couldn't be important. Now, for the first time, someone was asking if he could do something extraordinary. "Yes, sir," he said. "I'm willing." The next morning, Tae's new life began. Instead of his old cleaning uniform, he was given a trainee pilot's jumpsuit. Instead of a broom, he was handed a neural training helmet. "This is impossible," muttered Flight Instructor Kwan, a stern woman with short black hair. "We're supposed to turn a janitor into a dragon pilot in 5 days? It takes most cadets 2 years." "Those are the general's orders," replied Dr. Jiwoo. "We'll focus only on the essentials, neural linking, basic flight controls, and emergency procedures." Tae's first lesson took place in a small room filled with screens and strange equipment. Dr. Jiwoo explained that before he could attempt to link with Baek, he needed to learn how to control his own thoughts. "The neural link is a two-way connection," she said. "The dragon will feel what you feel, see what you see. If you panic, the dragon panics. If you're confused, the dragon gets confused. You must learn to keep your mind clear and focused." Tae put on the training helmet, which covered his eyes and ears. Inside, he saw only darkness at first. Then slowly, patterns of light began to appear. Focus on the blue light, Dr. Jiwoo's voice instructed. Make it grow brighter by concentrating on it. Tae tried, but his thoughts kept wandering. He thought about the other workers who used to be his friends. Would they hate him now? He thought about Commander Hyuk's angry face. He thought about what would happen if he failed. Your mind is scattered, Dr. Jiwoo said. The blue light is barely visible. Try again. By the end of the first day, Tae's head ached from the effort, and he had made little progress. The blue light had flickered occasionally, but never grown stronger. This was a mistake, Flight Instructor Kwon said as Tae removed the helmet. He doesn't have the mental discipline. Give him time, Dr. Jiwoo replied. Remember, he's had no preparation for this. Tae returned to his new quarters, a small room in the pilot's section, far nicer than his old shared dormitory. But he couldn't enjoy it. For the first time, he wondered if everyone was right. Maybe he wasn't special after all. Maybe Bayek had made a mistake. On the second day, Tae was allowed to see Beck again. The massive dragon seemed happy to see him, making that strange purring sound that vibrated through the air. Today, we'll try a supervised interaction, Dr. Jiwoo explained. We'll open the barrier partially, just enough for limited physical contact. Tae's heart raced as the transparent barrier slid open about 30 centimeters. It was enough space for him to reach his arm through, but not enough for Beck to get out. Not that the huge dragon could fit through such a small opening anyway. Extend your hand slowly, Dr. Jiwoo instructed. Let him come to you. Tae reached his arm through the opening, his hand trembling slightly. Beck lowered his massive head, moving with surprising gentleness for such a large creature. The dragon's snout, covered in scales that felt smooth and warm like sun-heated stones, pressed against Tae's palm. The connection was immediate and powerful. Tae gasped as his mind filled with images and feelings, stars exploding into life, the curve of planets seen from space, the joy of flying through cosmic dust clouds. But there was more. He felt Bayek's thoughts, simple but clear. Finally found you. My rider, mine, the neural link is forming, Dr. Jiwoo exclaimed, watching readings on her scanner. It's happening naturally without the interface technology. Tae barely heard her. He was lost in the connection with Bayek, experiencing the world through the dragon's senses. He could feel the air currents in the hangar, smell the unique scents of each person present, sense the vibrations of their footsteps through the floor. Enough for today, Dr. Jiwoo said after several minutes, gently pulling Tae's arm back. The barrier closed, but the connection remained, fainter but still present. Tae looked at Bayek with new understanding. He's been waiting for me, he said softly. All this time, Dr. Jiwoo nodded. It seems so, and now we have 3 days to teach you how to fly with him before the Voidborn arrive. On the third day, Tae faced his biggest challenge yet. Today he would attempt to ride Beck for the first time. We'll start in the training dome, Flight Instructor Kwon explained as they walked toward a massive round building connected to the main hangar. It's big enough for basic flight practice, but enclosed so you can't crash into anything important. Tae nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. Through their growing mental link, he could feel Bayek's excitement. The dragon wanted to fly with him. The training dome was huge, at least 200 meters across and almost as high. Its walls were padded and the floor was covered with thick safety foam. Several other people were already inside, including Dr. Jiwoo, General Sunwoo, and a team of emergency medics. Just in case, Dr. Jiwoo said when she saw Tae looking at the medics. Commander Hyuk stood in one corner, arms crossed, watching with a dark expression. He had been forced to give up his position as Bayek's pilot, at least temporarily, and he clearly wasn't happy about it. Beck was led into the dome through a large side entrance. The Emperor Dragon moved with surprising grace for his size, his midnight blue scales catching the light. When he saw Tae, he made that rumbling purr sound and quickened his pace. He's eager, Dr. Jiwoo noted. That's a good sign. Flight Instructor Kwon handed Tae a pilot's helmet. It was similar to the training helmet, but more complex, with built-in communication systems and neural enhancers. This will strengthen your connection with Bayek and let you talk to us during flight, she explained. Put it on. Tae slipped the helmet over his head. It fit snugly, with soft pads pressing against his temples. Now for the flight suit, Kwon continued, helping him into a padded bodysuit with multiple attachment points. This connects to the saddle and keeps you from falling off. It also protects you from the heat of Bayek's scales during high-speed flight. Once Tay was fully equipped, he approached Bayek. The dragon lowered his massive body, allowing Tay to climb onto the special saddle attached to his back. The saddle was positioned just behind Bayek's shoulders where his neck joined his body. Secure all 4 attachment points, Quan instructed. Legs first, then torso. Tay clicked the safety lines from his suit to the saddle. When he was fully secured, he placed his hands on the control grips built into the front of the saddle. Can you hear me? Dr. Jiwoo's voice came through speakers in his helmet. Yes, Tay replied. Good. Now focus on your connection with Bayek. Feel his presence in your mind. Tay closed his eyes and concentrated. The link with Bayek was stronger now, a warm, steady presence in his thoughts. He could sense the dragon's eagerness to fly, his joy at having Tay on his back. I feel him, Tay said. Excellent. Now think about rising. Just a meter off the ground. Don't use the physical controls yet, just think it. Tay pictured them floating upward just slightly. To his amazement, Beck immediately responded. The dragon's powerful legs tensed and they rose smoothly into the air. Tay gasped as the ground fell away beneath them. Good, Dr. Jiwoo called. Now try moving forward very slowly. Tay thought about gentle forward motion. Beck glided ahead, his wings partially extended for balance, though he wasn't using them to fly yet. The dragon was using his natural ability to control gravity, the same ability that let dragons fly in space where there was no air for their wings. You're doing well, Quan said, her voice betraying surprise. Now try turning in a circle. For the next hour, Tay practiced basic movements, rising, descending, turning, stopping. Each command seemed to flow naturally from his mind to Bayek's. There were a few wobbles and one scary moment when they rose too quickly and nearly hit the dome's ceiling. But overall, their progress was remarkable. I've never seen a first flight go this smoothly, General Sunwoo commented to Dr. Jiwoo. It's like they've been flying together for years. The neural compatibility is extraordinary, Dr. Jiwoo replied. They're not fighting each other like most new pairs do. Beck isn't resisting Tay's inexperience, and Tay isn't trying to force control. After the basic maneuvers, Quan instructed Tay to try using Beck's wings. Think about spreading the wings fully, she said. Feel them as if they're your own arms stretching out. Tay closed his eyes and imagined having wings, great, powerful wings extending from his shoulders. Through their link, he felt Bayek's wings unfold to their full span, at least 30 meters from tip to tip. Now flap them. Gently, Quan instructed. Tay thought about the motion and Beck's wings moved in response, creating a powerful downdraft that stirred up dust from the floor of the dome. Good. Now use them to fly a circuit around the dome, about 10 meters up. Taking a deep breath, Tay pictured the flight path. Beck launched into the air with a powerful leap, wings beating steadily. They soared around the inside of the dome, higher than Tay had ever been before. The sensation was incredible. The rush of air, the power of Beck's muscles working beneath him, the freedom of flight. Through their link, Tay could feel Beck's joy matching his own. We fly well together, came Beck's thought, not in words exactly, but in feelings and images that Tay somehow understood. Yes, Tay thought back. We do. When they finally landed, Tay was grinning so widely his face hurt. Even flight instructor Quan looked impressed. Not bad for a stable boy, she admitted. You have natural talent. General Sunwoo stepped forward. We'll continue training tomorrow, but with combat maneuvers. The Voidborn will be here in 2 days. You need to be ready. Tay's smile faded as reality crashed back. This wasn't just about the joy of flying with Beck. There was a war, and soon they would be fighting in it. That evening, Tay sat alone in the pilot's dining hall. The other pilots kept their distance, whispering among themselves and casting suspicious glances his way. Only one, a young woman named Sora, who flew one of the smaller scout dragons, approached his table. Mind if I join you? She asked. Tay nodded, surprised. Please. Sora sat down with her tray of food. That was impressive today, she said. Most new pilots can barely stay on their dragons during first flight. Thanks, Tay replied. It doesn't feel like I'm doing much. Beck seems to know what I want before I even think it clearly. That's rare, Sora said. Most of us have to fight for control at first. It took me 3 months before Mina, that's my dragon, would consistently follow my commands. Tay picked at his food, which was much better than what he used to eat in the workers' cafeteria. "Why are you talking to me? Everyone else seems to hate me," Sora shrugged. "Some are jealous. Others don't think it's fair that you got to skip years of training. Commander Hayuk has been telling everyone you must have tricked Beck somehow." "I didn't trick anyone," Tay said, feeling defensive. "I know," Sora replied. "Dragons can't be tricked into forming a neural link. If Beck chose you, there's a reason." She leaned forward. "Besides, I was a kitchen worker before I became a pilot. Not everyone here started as a military cadet." Tay looked up in surprise. "Really, how did you become a pilot?" "Mina chose me when I was serving food at a military function. Knocked over a general to get to me." Sora smiled at the memory. "They tested me, found I was compatible, and here I am, 3 years later." For the first time since his training began, Tay felt like maybe he wasn't completely out of place. "The combat training tomorrow will be hard," Sora warned. "They'll push you to your limits because there's so little time. But remember, trust your dragon. Beck has fought Voidborn before. He knows what to do." "Thanks for the advice," Tay said sincerely. As they finished eating, Commander Hyuk entered the dining hall, his eyes locked on Tay, filled with cold anger. "Enjoy your moment, stable boy," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "When the real fighting starts, we'll see if the Emperor Dragon made the right choice." Tay said nothing, but inside, doubt crept back. The Voidborn were coming. In 2 days, he would face real enemies, not just training exercises. Would he be ready? Or would he fail when it mattered most? Through their link, he felt Beck's response, a surge of confidence and determination. The dragon, at least, had no doubts. "We will fight together," came Beck's thought. "We will win." The 4th day of training was brutal. Tay woke before sunrise, his muscles sore from yesterday's flight. He barely had time to eat before flight instructor Quan arrived at his door. "Combat training starts in 30 minutes, she said. "Meet me at the simulation room." The simulation room was a new place for Tay. It contained a mechanical dragon saddle mounted on a platform that could move in all directions. Around it, the walls, floor, and ceiling were covered with screens showing space. "This is where we practice combat moves without risking the dragons," Quan explained. "The neural helmet will connect you to the simulator. It will feel real, but it's safe." Tay put on the helmet and climbed onto the mechanical saddle. As soon as the neural connection activated, the room around him seemed to disappear. Instead, he was sitting on Bayek, flying through space. Stars surrounded them, and Earth was visible in the distance, a blue-green jewel against the blackness. "Can you hear me?" Quan's voice came through his helmet. "Yes," Tay replied, amazed by how real everything looked. "Good. Today we'll practice basic combat maneuvers. First, evasive flying." Suddenly, red lights appeared in the distance, enemy weapons fire. The simulator jolted as Quan took control, showing Tay how to make Beck roll and dive to avoid being hit. "Now you try," she said, releasing control. More red lights appeared. Tay thought quickly, directing Beck into a spinning dive. The movement felt natural, as if they had done it 100 times before. "Good," Quan said, sounding surprised. "Let's try something harder." For the next 3 hours, Tay practiced increasingly difficult maneuvers, sharp turns, sudden stops, complex evasive patterns. The simulator threw everything at him: enemy ships, asteroid fields, energy storms. Through it all, he felt like Bayek was guiding him, sharing knowledge of moves they had never practiced together. "Your performance is unusual," Quan said when they finally took a break. "You're executing advanced maneuvers that most pilots don't learn until their 2nd year." "It doesn't feel like I'm doing it alone," Tay admitted. "It's like Bayek already knows what to do and I'm just following along." Quan frowned. "That's not how it's supposed to work. The pilot should be in control." "Is that bad?" "It's different," she said carefully. "But given our time constraints, we'll work with what's working. This afternoon, we'll practice with the real Bayek and add weapons training. After lunch." Ty met Beck in the outdoor flight area, a massive open space behind the facility, surrounded by mountains that hid it from public view. The real dragon seemed happy to see him, lowering his head to gently bump against Tay's chest in greeting. "He likes you," said Sora, who was preparing for her own training flight with her dragon Mina. "That's rare for the Emperor Dragon." Bayek was always polite with Commander Hayuk, but never affectionate. Tay smiled and patted Bayek's snout. Through their link, he felt the dragon's contentment. General Sunwoo approached, accompanied by Dr. Jiwoo and several military officers Tai didn't recognize. Today we test your combat readiness, the general said. The Voidborn will reach our outer defense line tomorrow. You need to be prepared. Tay nodded, suddenly nervous. I'll do my best, sir. Your best may not be enough, one of the officers muttered, but the general silenced him with a look. Mount up, he ordered. We'll run a full combat simulation with live weapons fire. Tay climbed onto Bayek's back and secured himself to the saddle. Other pilots were doing the same with their dragons. In total, 12 dragons and their riders prepared for flight. This exercise simulates a Voidborn attack, General Sunwoo explained. Target drones will play the role of enemy ships. They fire low-power lasers that won't hurt the dragons, but will register as hits on your suits. 3 hits and you're considered destroyed and must return to base. Tay swallowed hard. This was much more serious than the simulator. Dragons launch, the general commanded. As one, the 12 dragons leaped into the sky, wings spreading wide. Bayek surged upward with powerful beats of his wings, quickly gaining altitude. Tay felt the rush of wind against his face and the incredible strength of the dragon beneath him. Once they reached 500 meters, the dragons formed a defensive formation. Bayek, as the Emperor Dragon, took the center position. The smaller, faster dragons formed the outer ring, while the medium-sized assault dragons created an inner ring. Enemy drones approaching, came the announcement through Tay's helmet. Prepare for engagement. In the distance, Tay saw small black objects rising from behind the mountains, the target drones. There were at least 30 of them moving fast. Remember your training, Flight Instructor Kwan's voice said. Stay in formation until the enemy is within range. Tay gripped the saddle controls tightly, his heart pounding. Through their link, he felt Bayek's calm confidence. We've fought worse, came the dragon's thought. Follow my lead. The drones approached rapidly, their movements designed to mimic the erratic patterns of Voidborn ships. When they were about 300 meters away, they opened fire. Red laser beams cut through the air toward the dragon formation. Evasive action, called the formation leader. The dragons scattered, each moving in different directions to avoid the incoming fire. Bayek rolled sharply to the right, then dove beneath a cluster of drones. Tay moved with him instinctively, their bodies and minds working as one. Emperor Dragon, you have weapons clearance, came General Sunwoo's voice. Show us what you can. 2. Tay had practiced weapons use in the simulator, but never with the real Bayek. He placed his hands on the special control pads on either side of the saddle and focused his thoughts. Fire, he thought. Picturing a burst of energy from Bayek's mouth, the dragon responded immediately. His chest expanded as he drew in air, then his jaws opened wide. A stream of blue-white energy erupted from Bayek's mouth, cutting through the air toward the nearest drones. 3 of them exploded as the beam hit them. Direct hit, someone called over the comm system. Tay had no time to celebrate. More drones were coming at them from all sides. He and Bayek twisted and turned through the air, firing when they had clear shots. The other dragons were engaged in their own battles, the sky filled with energy beams and exploding drones. Through it all, Tay felt strangely calm. It was as if he had done this before many times. Bayek's movements seemed to anticipate his thoughts, or perhaps his thoughts were following Bayek's instincts. Either way, they moved together perfectly. The Emperor Dragon is performing beyond expectations, Tay heard Dr. Jiwoo say over the comm system. The neural sync is at 99%. I've never seen readings this high. After 20 minutes of intense combat, all the drones had been destroyed. The dragons regrouped in the sky, some showing minor damage from laser hits. Bayek, however, was untouched. 0 hits registered on the Emperor Dragon, Flight Instructor Kwan announced, her voice betraying her surprise. All targets eliminated. As they flew back to the landing area, Tay felt a surge of pride from Bayek. The dragon knew they had done well. On the ground, General Sunwoo was waiting with the other officers. His face was serious, but Tay thought he saw a hint of approval in his eyes. Impressive performance, the general said as Tay dismounted, especially for someone with only 4 days of training. Thank you, sir, Tay replied, removing his helmet. Don't thank me yet, the general said grimly. Tomorrow you face the real enemy, not training drones. The Voidborn ships are faster, smarter, and deadlier. They've destroyed 3 of our colonies already. Tay nodded, the brief moment of triumph fading. I understand, sir. Get some rest, the general ordered. Tomorrow we fly to war. That night, Tay couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. Real combat. Real enemies. Real death. A soft knock on his door startled him. When he opened it, he found Sora standing there. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. Tay shook his head. "Too much thinking. Come with me," she said. "There's something you should see before tomorrow." Curious, Tay followed her through the quiet hallways of the facility. They took an elevator to the top floor, then climbed a short ladder to reach the roof. The night sky spread above them, filled with more stars than Tay had ever seen. The facility's remote location, far from city lights, made the view spectacular. "This is what we're fighting for," Sora said, sitting down on the roof. "All those stars, all those worlds. The Voidborn want to take them from us, to consume them like they've consumed so many other civilizations." Tay sat beside her, looking up at the vast expanse of space. "It's beautiful." "Yes," she agreed. "And tomorrow you'll be up there seeing it for real." She turned to look at him. "Are you scared?" "Terrified," Tay admitted. 4 days ago I was sweeping floors. Now I'm supposed to help save humanity." Sora nodded. "I felt the same way before my first battle. But once you're up there with your dragon, something changes. You find courage you didn't know you had." They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars. Finally, Sora spoke again. "There's something else you should know," she said quietly. "Something about Commander Hayek." Tay turned to her. "What about him?" "He's been acting strange since you took his place with Bak. Angry, yes, but also secretive. I've seen him talking to people I don't recognize. And today during the exercise I saw him send a message when he thought no one was watching." "What kind of message?" "I don't know," Sora said. "But be careful tomorrow. Watch your back." As Tay returned to his room later, her warning echoed in his mind. Tomorrow would bring danger from the Voidborn, but perhaps from closer to home as well. The alarm sounded at 4 a.m., jolting Tay from a restless sleep. Red lights flashed in the hallways as he rushed to get dressed. "All pilots to the briefing room immediately," announced a voice over the speakers. "This is not a drill." "Repeat, this is not a drill." Tay's heart pounded as he pulled on his flight suit and ran to the briefing room. Other pilots were already there, their faces grim. General Sunwoo stood at the front, a large screen behind him showing a map of Earth's outer defense system. "The Voidborn fleet has arrived earlier than expected," the general announced without preamble. "They've already broken through our first defense line and destroyed 2 patrol ships. We estimate 50 enemy vessels, including 1 command ship." A murmur ran through the room. 50 ships was a large force. "Our mission is clear," the general continued. "Protect Earth at all costs. The Dragon squadrons will form our main attack force with support from conventional fighters. Launch in 30 minutes. As the briefing ended, Tay felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Dr. Jiwoo. "A word, please," she said, pulling him aside. "There's something you should know about Bak." Tay followed her to a quiet corner. "What is it?" "The Emperor Dragon is special, even among dragons," she explained quickly. "He has abilities the others don't. In extreme situations, he can generate what we call a void pulse, a burst of energy that disrupts the neural networks of void-born ships." "Why are you telling me this now?" Tay asked. "Because it's dangerous. Using the void pulse drains Bak's energy severely. It should only be used as a last resort." She looked at him intently. "Commander Hyuk never managed to activate this ability. We think it requires a deeper neural connection than he could achieve." Tay nodded, adding this to his growing list of worries. "How will I know when to use it?" "Bak will know," Dr. Jiwoo said. "Trust him." In the Dragon hangar, chaos reigned as pilots and dragons prepared for battle. Technicians rushed to attach combat gear to the dragons, while medical teams stood by with emergency equipment. Tay found Bak already awake and alert, his golden eyes tracking Tay's movement across the hangar. As Tay approached, the dragon lowered his head in greeting. "Today we fight," came Bak's thought. "Together." "Yes," Tay whispered, placing his hand on the dragon's snout. "Together." As he prepared to mount, Tay noticed Commander Hyuk watching from the shadows. The man's face was unreadable, but there was something in his eyes that made Tay uneasy. He remembered Sora's warning from the night before. "All pilots mount up," called Flight Instructor Kwan. "Launch sequence begins in 5 minutes." Tay climbed onto Bak's back and secured himself to the saddle. Around him, the other pilots were doing the same. Sora gave him a quick thumbs up from atop her dragon Mina. The massive hangar doors began to open, revealing the pre-dawn sky. It was still dark, with just a hint of light on the eastern horizon. "Dragons, prepare for launch," came the command. Launch in 3, 2, 1, go! As one, the dragons leaped forward, racing through the hangar doors and into the open air. Pike's powerful wings beat hard, propelling them upward at incredible speed. The ground fell away rapidly as they climbed into the sky. Within minutes, they had passed through the clouds and were still climbing. The air grew thin, and Tay was grateful for his helmet's oxygen supply. Soon the sky above darkened from blue to black as they reached the edge of space. All dragons, form battle formation, ordered Squadron Leader Han, a veteran pilot who flew one of the assault dragons. Emperor Dragon in center position.
Scout dragons take point.
Assault dragons form the defensive ring. The dragons moved into position, their bodies glowing faintly against the darkness of space. Earth was now a curved blue surface below them, beautiful and fragile. Enemy ships detected, announced a voice through the comm system. 53 void-born vessels approaching from Sector 7. Tay looked in the direction indicated and saw them. Black shapes moving against the stars, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The void-born ships were oddly shaped, like giant squids with multiple tentacle-like appendages. Hold position, commanded Squadron Leader Han. Let them come to us. Through their neural link, Tay felt Beck's recognition of the enemy. The dragon had fought these creatures before and knew their capabilities. Images flashed through Tay's mind. Previous battles, tactics used, weaknesses observed. Enemy ships accelerating, came the warning. Prepare for engagement. The void-born fleet split into 3 groups as it approached. The largest group headed straight for the Dragon Squadron while the other 2 moved to flank them. They're trying to surround us, Squadron Leader Han observed. Scout dragons engage the flanking groups. Assault dragons with me against the main force. Emperor Dragon target the command ship. Tay scanned the enemy formation looking for the command ship. Beck's thoughts guided him, pointing out a larger vessel near the back of the main group. It was at least twice the size of the other ships with more tentacle-like appendages. I see it, Tay confirmed. Moving to engage. Beck surged forward, his wings now fully extended to capture solar energy. Around them, the battle erupted as dragons and void-born ships clashed. Energy beams cut through the vacuum of space and explosions bloomed like silent flowers. 3 enemy ships moved to intercept them, firing dark energy weapons that absorbed light and heat. Beck rolled and twisted, avoiding the deadly beams with graceful precision. Tay moved with him instinctively, their minds so closely linked that they functioned as a single entity. Attack pattern Delta, came Beck's thought, accompanied by an image of a complex flight maneuver. Tay didn't question it. He simply followed the dragon's lead, diving beneath one enemy ship and then looping back to attack from below. Beck opened his jaws and released a stream of blue-white energy that cut through the void-born ship's hull. The vessel shuddered, then exploded in a silent burst of dark matter. The other 2 ships converged on them, firing continuously. One beam grazed Beck's wing, causing a flash of pain that Tay felt through their link. The dragon roared in anger, the sound carrying through Tay's helmet despite the vacuum of space. We need to break through, Tay said, gritting his teeth against the shared pain. The command ship is our target. Beck responded with a burst of speed, flying directly between the 2 enemy ships. As they passed, the dragon released 2 quick energy blasts, one to each side. Both ships exploded, the force of the blasts pushing Beck forward even faster. Ahead, the command ship loomed large, its black surface seeming to bend light around it. It was heavily defended, with smaller ships forming a protective screen. Emperor Dragon, be advised, came Squadron Leader Han's voice. We're taking heavy losses. We need to retreat and regroup. Tay looked around and saw that the battle was going badly. Several dragons were injured, trailing energy from damaged wings or bodies. At least 3 were missing entirely, presumably destroyed. Negative, Tay replied. If we retreat now, they'll reach Earth. We need to take out the command ship. There was a pause, then, understood. We'll create a diversion to draw off the defensive screen. You get 1 shot at the command ship. The remaining dragons regrouped and launched a coordinated attack on the ships protecting the command vessel. The diversion worked. Most of the defensive screen moved to engage the new threat, leaving a small gap in the coverage. Now, Tay urged, and Beck shot forward, flying through the gap at maximum speed. They were almost to the command ship when a dark beam hit them directly. Pain exploded through their linked minds as the beam burned across Beck's side. The dragon roared in agony but kept flying, determined to reach their target. As they closed in on the command ship, Tay saw movement from the corner of his eye. Another dragon was approaching rapidly, a smaller assault dragon. As it drew closer, Tay recognized the pilot, Commander Hyuk. "What are you doing?" Tay called over the comm system. "You're not supposed to be here." "Fixing a mistake," came Hyuk's cold reply. "Beck is mine. He's always been mine." To Tay's horror, Hyuk's dragon rammed into Bayek's injured side. The impact sent them spinning away from the command ship, back toward the main battle. "Traitor!" Tay shouted. "You're helping the enemy." "The Voidborn promised me control of Earth's dragon program after they win," Hyuk replied. "All I have to do is eliminate you and the Emperor Dragon." Through their neural link, Tay felt Bayek's rage building. The dragon had heard everything and understood the betrayal. Energy began to build in his chest, different from his normal weapon, darker, more powerful. The Void Pulse, Tay realized. "He's preparing to use it. Beck, no," Tay said aloud. Dr. Jiwoo said it's too dangerous. "Must protect," came Beck's thought. "Must end threat?" Hyuk's dragon attacked again, jaws snapping at Beck's neck. The two dragons grappled in space, claws and teeth flashing. Tay held on desperately, trying to maintain his position in the saddle. "All dragons be advised," Tay called over the comm system. "Commander Hyuk is a traitor. He's working with the Voidborn." "Lies," Hyuk shouted back. "The stable boy has lost control of the Emperor Dragon." In the confusion, the command ship began to move toward Earth, its massive engines glowing with dark energy. If it reached the planet, millions would die. Tay made a decision. "Beck," he said, placing his hands on the dragon's neck. "Use the Void Pulse. Not on Hyuk, on the command ship." The dragon hesitated, torn between attacking the immediate threat and the greater one. "Trust me," Tay urged. "We'll deal with Hyuk later." Beck broke free from the grapple with a powerful twist of his body. Before Hyuk could react, they were racing toward the command ship again, moving faster than Tay thought possible. "Stop them," Hyuk screamed over the comm system. "They're going to destroy everything." But it was too late. They reached the command ship in seconds, flying directly above its central section. Beck's chest expanded as energy built to impossible levels. Tay felt the power through their links so intense it was almost painful. "Now," Tay commanded. Beck opened his jaws and released the Void Pulse. It wasn't a beam like his normal weapon. It was a sphere of swirling dark and light energy that expanded outward in all directions. The pulse engulfed the command ship, causing its surface to ripple and distort. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the command ship began to collapse in on itself, as if being crushed by an invisible force. The tentacle-like appendages writhed and then went still. The engines flickered and died. The effect spread to the nearby Voidborn ships. One by one, they lost power and began to drift. Without the neural control from the command ship, they were just empty shells. "It's working," someone shouted over the comm system. "The enemy fleet is shutting down." But Tay barely heard. He was focused on Bayek, who was growing weaker by the second. The Void Pulse had drained the dragon's energy severely, just as Dr. Jiwoo had warned. His mighty wings barely moved, and his thoughts were becoming faint in Tay's mind. "Stay with me," Tay pleaded, leaning forward to embrace the dragon's neck. "We won. We saved Earth. Just stay with me." As they began to drift back toward Earth, pulled by its gravity, Tay saw Hyuk's dragon approaching again. The man hadn't given up even with the Voidborn defeated. "You've ruined everything," Hyuk snarled. "I'll kill you both." But before he could attack, 3 other dragons intercepted him. Sora's voice came through the comm system. "We heard everything, traitor." "You're finished." Tay watched as Hyuk was surrounded and captured. Then he turned his attention back to Bayek, who was growing weaker by the minute. "Hold on," he whispered. "We're going home." As Earth grew larger below them, Tay felt Beck's consciousness fading. The dragon was using his last energy to control their descent, to get them safely back to the ground. "Proud," came Beck's faint thought. "Proud of us." Tears filled Tay's eyes as he held tightly to the dragon who had chosen him, who had seen something special in a simple stable boy when no one else had. "I'm proud too," he whispered. "We'll be okay. We'll recover together." As they entered Earth's atmosphere, a rescue team of dragons rose to meet them, ready to help bring the Emperor Dragon home. The battle was over. Earth was safe. And the stable boy who wasn't allowed near the dragons had become the hero who saved them all, riding the Emperor Dragon who had demanded only his touch.